Welcome to the Reckless Podcast with Aaron and Damo. We're two old friends who went to middle school and high school together. We were roommates in college, and we decided to start up this podcast and add our voices to the conversation. Thank you for joining us. We have
We have
two guests with us today.
and we have Javar
Yep.
and Devin, and I think it's gonna be a good topic today. First, we want to get into our favorite teams.
Right. Favorite sports teams.
So let's figure out who y'all team are.
Well,
You go, Javar.
I'm a big college football fan, so the only team that I really follow is Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
the cult-like
jumped on-
followers
Right.
of Alabama.
I jumped on the bandwagon about 2008, so I got a couple years, got leverage.
I thought you
The
were a
rest of these
lifer.
guys. No, not a lifer.
Alabama
I'm from
fan.
North Carolina originally, so
Okay.
So how does
you
your
know.
family feel about you being an Alabama fan?
they're jumping on the bandwagon too. My
What?
son.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I actually get a chance to go to a game this year, so I'm excited about
That's
that.
cool.
That's what's up. College football wise, yeah, I'm right with you on that Alabama bandwagon. But
Oh my God.
my favorite sports team though is the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
Because I'm a true baseball fan. Been a baseball fan since I don't know forever. Seems like. So yeah.
Baseball is something I can only really handle in person. I can't watch it on TV.
Oddly enough, like it was one year where I kind of like forced myself to watch baseball just so I can learn it.
Yeah.
Because it's always on ESPN, and
Right.
you got to spend a whole summer watching it. So I was like, oh, let me actually learn
You're
this.
right. You have to. It's like punishment for not being a big enough fan in football season. So here, you're gonna watch baseball and you're gonna like it.
Yeah, because they ram it down your throat. So I
Yeah.
mean, but I was always an Orioles fan too, and so now that the Nationals are here, I consider them my second team, but I can never put them above the Orioles.
They have to win
They-
the World Series first.
They could never, even with the World Series, in my mind, they could never be above
Really?
the Orioles. Yeah, that's the only thing from Baltimore I claim.
Right.
And so.
Same.
And so the Orioles, they'll always be that team to me. I used to sneak and watch games when I was a little kid, probably back 94, 95. I used to sneak and watch games. My mother would, we had a TV in our room. At that time, when you being a little kid, you got a TV in your room.
Yeah.
You was doing big things. And I used to sneak and turn the volume down real low and watch baseball games.
Oh wow.
I'm telling you, that's punishment.
Well,
And
to them, it
so,
wasn't punishment.
to me, I loved it,
Wow.
And so that's
Baseball
how
is just slow on TV to me.
Yes.
Like it
Yeah.
takes a lot for it to get exciting. Like at least in person, you have other stuff going on. You got, drunk people, who you can laugh at.
Right.
they're
In
always
person, it's just like a whole experience. But on TV, it's like, eh. Now I prefer it over hockey on TV.
really.
Yeah.
What?
I can't take hockey.
Have you been to a hockey game?
I have.
And did you enjoy the actual in-person game?
Well, I don't really know what's going on.
The puck just going
And
back and forth.
And see, for me,
Who
hockey
has the
was
puck?
hockey was the same thing. Like for you, you sat and you watched it, and I had to learn the game of hockey. I taught it to myself. Played a few video games. It was like, all right, I'm gonna learn this game.
Yeah.
And now I'm a huge Capitals fan. Kind of disappointed they lost this year
Are they cursed?
to the Penguins.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Every year.
man. It got to be,
Every
man.
year they lose.
Every year.
Second round,
Was it the
third
curse
round.
of
something like that.
Yamayaga? What is it?
Maybe.
I don't know what
I don't know.
it is, but
But
we need a title. We definitely need a championship in this town.
Yeah,
I
been
just
the
don't understand.
favorites.
Like they've had three different coaches, and within the last 10 years,
Right.
since Alex Ovechkin, maybe more. It may have been four, because I remember off the top of my head, Bruce Boudreau, Dale Hunter, and who's this guy now?
I can't think of his name, but
But they have a coach now, and I know they had one before Bruce Boudreau when Alex Ovechkin was there, but they cannot get past the second
Don't
round.
they have like the best goalie in the league now?
He's
they
one
have
of the best. He's
top.
like an upcoming. He's young and
Okay.
he's good. But Alex Ovechkin has been considered like the top three player.
The top goal scorer in the league for
Yeah,
sure.
outside of Sidney Crosby, like at one point him and Sidney Crosby were like
Right.
going back and forth as who's the number one. But Sidney Crosby has won. Like,
Yeah.
But Sid, I think Sid has one Stanley Cup final victory, maybe
I thought it
once,
was
maybe
like
two,
I thought it was
maybe
two.
two.
Yeah. That's still two more
But
than
that is two. That is very
Ovi.
true. But if you watch, like I watched the series this year, and the games were close. it wasn't like they got beat, like they got blown out or anything like that.
So it was all
How
over
many
the
times
place.
So you
you
a
going to
hockey
be
fan
down
too.
3-0
Come here, Sosa.
But see,
or be
this,
up 3-0?
How many? Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
this year though, like you're watching games and they're losing. They lose in overtime, or they lose on a fluke goal late in the game, or game. I think it was game 2 or game 3. They had like 40 some shots and got shut out.
Wow.
Like that doesn't happen.
I honestly
So,
think that Ovi may be the problem. I think he
Really?
doesn't. I think it's like a somewhat LeBron syndrome, where it seems like LeBron doesn't at times want it enough, like a Michael or a Kobe. Like he doesn't have that killer instinct, and I think Ovi doesn't have it. And I think eventually they're gonna start talking
So
about
does
that.
it have to be him that has a killer instinct,
I mean,
or do you put
But-
other killers around him?
but when you think about it, I think a lot of
Killers, not like
killers.
just
I think the team takes on the persona of the
leader.
leader.
the leader.
And if you ain't putting all of it in, everybody else ain't going to.
right.
Well, I question that because I think in watching the games, I think he is putting a lot into it. You watch Ovi, he takes the shots, he takes the hits.
All of the shots.
Yeah, well, he takes a lot of them because he has. I mean, I'm not standing in front of that slap shot.
Right.
I don't know many people that would.
I don't know, man.
But
It's demeanor more so than actual action, in my opinion. As far as like how he carries himself. He may
Is
be
he too
taking
laid
shots,
back?
but yeah, if you're too laid back and there's no sense of urgency, then
well, I think they did a good job with adding Mike Richards to the team.
Yeah.
He's won a few Stanley Cups, and
yeah.
and they brought that in, and that's like I said, the mentality changed, but. Even like if you look, they had a couple of big hits where players were knocked out of games.
Right.
you
So
know.
are concussions as big of a deal in hockey as they are in football right now? Like you would think they would be. They take a lot of hard hits.
From my understanding, football is like the number one sport that and Javon can attest to this. Like,
Only because it's been brought to the light as of recent. If you think about it, back when, back in the day, you had less protection. It was more physical.
Them leather helmets.
Right, with the leather helmets, and with it's a protection from the league, I believe, to put all these things in place, all these measures in places, to protect themselves,
Right.
As far as the concussion piece, I believe that yes, it is a serious problem, but I also question that, being that I played for 10 years or so.
Wow.
I know for a fact that I played through a couple concussions.
Really?
Yes,
wow.
there's been a couple, hits that I've taken or that I've made. I got up, I didn't have it all until the next play or until after the next play, and so forth. But during that time or back 10 years
You're
ago,
tough, 'cause I'm a
yeah, it
coward.
wasn't.
I would take myself out.
Oh yeah, there was plenty times.
done.
But one issue that I think a lot of people don't know about, who have not played the game, is depression caused by that part of your life no longer being associated with the sport. So I went through a state of depression where
Wow.
this game is over now. I can't play. I've given so much into it, put so much into it, fought, sweated with my brothers, and so forth. There's a camaraderie that's made, just like the military.
Yeah.
You come together, you're practicing every day together. Physical, something about the physical aspect of the game, playing the game together, and then all of a sudden it's over. You go through a state. Well, what am I going to do now?
Yeah.
I went through that, and that to me was more of a serious issue than the concussion.
Yes.
That's tough.
Yeah, I can see that depression, leading to suicide. Like we've seen in the news and the media, that piece of it. And I wonder if at times they link CTE and concussions and all of that to depression or to suicide and leave out the depression piece.
Did you all see the movie?
I didn't.
I didn't see
I
it.
didn't see
It
it.
was an interesting movie. It didn't really explain anything to me. I'm just watching Will Smith,
Well,
you know,
and I
with
think
an
it,
African
a
accent.
bad African accent.
Terrible African accent.
well, I think the NFL is in a spot to go with the movie. I think the NFL is in a spot where they're trying to protect the shield.
Right.
And if you look at the numbers, football is not number one in the cause of concussions. It's like 3 or 4 down the list.
Yeah, and women's soccer is actually the number
women's
one.
soccer, you
That's
have
crazy.
women's hockey,
Yeah.
What
you
about,
have
what
men's
is it?
hockey.
MMA? What is it? You
Hey, I'm sure
UFC?
Yeah,
but I
UFC,
don't think
yeah.
I don't think at the moment it's reached number one.
Wow.
You know, you would think people getting cracked in the head every time it's going to lead, but you got to think about it. Like some of these sports, like for the longest, like you said in football, you don't step up and say, "Oh crap, my head is spinning." You shut up, you suck it up, and you keep playing.
absolutely.
And so now
Unless you can't find the huddle. And then it's kind of obvious.
And then it's
oh,
obvious,
that guy
right.
is loopy.
And then he sits down for 2 plays. They hit him with some smelling
Right.
salt, and he gets back in. But in these other sports, because so much else, you know, you had to identify women's sports. They're quicker to identify and say something's not right.
Right.
And I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to say I think it's kind of crazy that the number one sport for concussion is women's sports and women's soccer.
Yeah.
And I'm racking my brain trying to figure out why is that, and I think
It's probably the most diagnosed,
right.
as opposed to the most actual concussions.
Exactly, because they're speaking up and they're saying, "Hey, something's
So
wrong."
they have a little more sense
they
than
don't
we
have
do.
that macho
Right.
mentality. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's real interesting, man. And so in your background as far as like dealing with disabilities and health, you know, how is it that, you know, I guess we can deal with that depression and, you know,
I think when it comes to depression, the first thing is you need somebody to talk to.
right.
You need somebody that you can relate to. You know, you have to be able to pick up the phone or walk somewhere to somebody. You don't have to tell them everything that's going on. You just need to not feel alone. You know, even like in your case, and you know, going through that withdrawal, I'll use the term withdrawal from football. Myself going through the withdrawal of sports completely, or competing, you need somebody to just be there. You know, they don't have to understand the aspect of being on a team sport,
But if they're listening, it helps.
yeah, just listen. I don't want to be by myself right now.
Right.
I need to be around people. I need to go out and hang out with people and do something. What that does, it changes your mindset. It changes your focus. And then because now your focus has changed, you're allowing yourself to process, you know, everything else that's going on, and you'll be able to enjoy being around people, which brings the excitement and removes the depression in your life. And so those are different things that I think can help change that lifestyle. Even before it gets to a diagnosed mental disability.
Right.
Right.
So, the concussion thing is definitely a big issue, and that's one of the major things that leads to an unhealthy lifestyle. But overall, for people who didn't play sports or didn't grow up in a competitive arena and just want to live healthy, Javar, what would you say is the best way for them to live a healthy lifestyle?
Such a broad question. Well, first you have to find out what's important to you. You know, the way we grew up, as far as eating wise and healthy lifestyle, you know, we had no idea of what it meant to be healthy. And if you're not careful today, you know, with all the media outlets, Facebook and so forth, you will see an image of what health is supposed to look like, or this is what it looks like, but that's actually not true. A lot of it's vain, all right? And so, you know, learning how to eat healthy. Do I want to eat healthy? It's so boring, you know. It can be fun. You can make it fun, but it's boring. Like, why do I, you know?
Tell me about it.
Give me the ribs.
Yeah.
But now I think it's become it has to be a priority now as far as longevity. So now your why now changes to, well, I want to live longer, you know, for my kids. I have to be there for my kids and so forth. So I have to do these things, make these adjustments so that I can not only provide for my family, but also I don't want to be miserable. When I'm older,
Right.
taking pills every day and so forth. I want to be full of energy. You know, and now you don't have to be. Well, I believe you don't have to be 100% like a health nut and so forth. But there are certain times and periods in your life where you do have to sort of turn it up, turn that notch up, and be focused completely on health, just to get certain things back in order. So that where do you start? Because there's so much information out there. Um, it's kind of hard. Most people want to go and get a membership, and so forth. And there's people who've got memberships and they've had memberships for years,
And this becomes a bill.
Right.
and it just becomes a bill, and so forth. So I would say you have to find a program, research a program, get around a group of people who are doing the same program for some accountability, and you'll learn different things in that environment. How to eat healthy, how to work out correctly, and so forth. And then over time, you'll eventually, you'll pick up healthy habits. I would say that's the best way.
Right, I would agree with real strong with that last part and emphasize the healthy habits. One thing that I'd look at and I say, okay, I want to be healthier, but what do I need to change? And anybody that knows me will tell you that I love ice cream. There's times when, as much
That
as
must
I,
be a family thing.
Yeah.
it might be, it might be.
I guess we didn't make that announcement. This is the brother of the jerk behind the camera.
But it is a family thing. My mother used to eat ice cream a lot, and so she's kind of cut back, to be healthier. But I still love it.
Right.
And so I have to be mindful of how much I eat and how often I eat it. And so that for me, that was one thing that I had to do to shift my lifestyle, because I can't eat as much ice cream as I could when I was 7 and 8 years old. It just doesn't work like that. One thing I used to love was McDonald's. I don't eat it. That was a habit I had to get into. I don't go to McDonald's. And except for I have a habit of going to get a tea.
I can't do McDonald's, man.
McDonald's tear me up.
I cannot do McDonald's. That's one thing I try to stay away from is McDonald's. If I can possibly do it, I don't want it.
Yeah,
Out of all the fast food places, I would go to Wendy's in a heartbeat.
Go get a chicken sandwich.
Remember
yeah.
that when you got us addicted to Baconators? When Baconators first came out, Aaron was like
Baconators
the
is the
biggest
devil.
fan
And that's reality.
of
In
the
college,
Baconator.
McDonald's and Burger King, they were lifesavers.
They got us.
Oh,
through.
yeah.
The 2 for $2.
Ramen
Yeah.
noodles
The
and
two
When that
Whoppers.
dollar menu came out,
Oh my goodness!
we used to
Wow.
go get McDoubles or double cheeseburgers and put them in the refrigerator for the next day.
I don't know
I
about
do
that.
remember
That's,
that, yeah.
that's terrible.
It's awful.
That's
I mean,
terrible.
we were college
Eat that
kids.
crap.
I mean, but them
But it's-
Baconators, it got to the point where we were eating like a couple days a week, and
Yeah.
we were like, look, we're just gonna do this once a month.
no more this week.
But it's so much. It's so, especially like being in college. It's easy. It's cheap. And when you're on a college budget, unhealthy food is like the easiest thing to get. You go to
Yeah.
you go to any store and you can get a 10-pack of ramen noodles, and you can eat for you can eat good.
So it's cheaper to kill yourself, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And it's convenient.
It's
Yeah,
real
it's
convenient.
definitely more
Convenient to kill
convenient.
yourself.
Yeah.
I think it was Bashy and I went to we were out in like Rockville, and because we were doing something out there, and we noticed that we drove like at least a mile, maybe 2-3 miles, and there were no fast food restaurants.
Wow.
around.
Wow.
There were, and then we went even further and noticed that the first one we saw was like a Subway or something like that. But you go to like maybe close to the inner city or
It's a hood
to
convenience.
the hood, and every 2 steps is a Wendy's or McDonald's or
Or Taco
Taco
Bell.
Taco Bell, you know.
Taco Bell, KFC, and
And I mean,
Or
I,
horse meat.
exactly, and maybe that can be for another topic, but I think that's just insane.
Well. How? I mean, I think the people will. If you put a Whole Foods in a urban community, how do we know that people won't adapt or adjust?
Yeah.
It's almost if to say, well, these people, they don't care about their lives, so we're just gonna stick these restaurants in these communities, and so forth and this and that. But we don't know that.
Mhm.
There's health food stores that are actually in like the Forestville area. They're doing well. You know, people actually go there. You know, they have a juice store, not marketing anything, but in another store. But I think if we stereotype or put them in a category as folks who, well, they're not going to come because these foods are more expensive and so forth. They're not going to spend the money. How do we know that? You know, people kind of adapt or adjust to the environment.
Yeah, like give me the option.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
give me the option to decide. And then if it don't work out and maybe you're losing money, you know, then
Well-
but good thing before you go into that, one thing we've noticed, and my wife did some research, is that Aldi, you know Aldi, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's actually a branch of Trader Joe's. And Aldi is in these I guess lower income locations. And so I commend them for actually, you know, putting some in the area. I wish they would advertise it because I didn't know all these years that Aldi was a part of Trader Joe's. But I mean, they have some type of organic.
Yeah, they have organic, a lot of
Right.
organic fruits
Yeah.
and vegetables and so forth.
But generally, you know, it is cheaper to cook yourself in the sense that we have a lot more access to fast foods and those type of junk foods opposed to the organic foods that you know is better for us.
Right.
So I don't know. So you think that's the reason why is because they don't want to market to lower income?
No, I don't think it's about wanting to market, because we know big business, they'll take your money, they don't care who you are.
Right.
But I think it's more so about the communities being educated and being
Yes.
knowledgeable because let's think about it. Big Mama used to live in that neighborhood, and every Sunday you was getting fried chicken and you was getting the
absolutely.
greens with the ham hocks in it. I mean, you was eating good, you know, real good, but it wasn't healthy.
Right.
And so we get so accustomed to that, and it doesn't. You know, we're not educated. We don't want it because a lot of times there's not enough flavor, and so we don't want bland food.
Yeah.
We want something that's got some flavor in it. You know, something that be like, all right, well, I ate good.
Yeah.
You know, and to eat that good can also be very, very expensive, and because the income level is so low, we have a tendency, which may also go into a different topic, but we have a tendency to want to spend money on more fashionable things than on healthier things.
Right.
And so,
Yeah.
that's just my little.
Well,
on that part.
we would like to thank you guys for coming on,
Absolutely.
Thank you for having me.
sure.
Yes, indeed.
Devin and Javar. By the way, Devin is involved in a nonprofit, and he works for a nonprofit that actually helps individuals with mental disabilities. And can you talk a little more about that?
I work with those with the differing abilities, and whether they came from birth or whether something happened in their life, and specifically, I work to try to help them find employment.
Right.
And so we're trying to not educate our community about those people that are slightly different than the quote unquote norm, and that they can still be beneficial and still have a very successful life and integrate them very well into the community.
Right. And Javar is a personal trainer. You want to expand a little more on that?
I'm more so a group trainer. I've moved into group training. Yeah, that's my background. After college, that's my passion, just training and so forth. I work with a group now that has a program that is really changing people's lives, and we put you in a controlled environment. A lot of times people need help, you know, assistance and so forth. And it has to be extreme, you know, and so, you know, I just train folks. I get people in shape.
Do you train fat people?
Absolutely. It's my number one
That's
client.
what I like to hear. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. This has been the Reckless Podcast. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and add your voices to the conversation.